Moscow's military has claimed it will give a fitting response to fresh Ukrainian air attacks inside Russia using US-supplied Army tactical missile system. In fact, Russia's defense ministry said Ukraine hit Russia with US-produced ATACMS missiles twice over the last 3 days. Russia said it is preparing retaliatory measures. Giving details of the attack, the Russian military said both strikes targeted Russian positions in the Kursk region. Earlier, escalating its own attacks, Russia launched a record number of drones at Ukraine overnight. The Ukrainian Air Force said the strike damaged buildings and critical infrastructure in several areas. Kiev said Russia launched 188 drones, the attacks coming amid growing international tensions after Russia launched a nuclear-capable missile that could reach European countries. The Ukrainian Air Force claims it shot down 76 Russian drones in 17 regions, while 95 more were either lost from their radars or shot down by electronic jamming defensive systems. The barrage came as ambassadors from Ukraine and NATO's 32 members were due to meet in Brussels over Russia's last week firing of an intermediate-range missile on the city of Dnipro. On the battlefield, Ukraine's troops are struggling to halt advances by Russian forces in the east of the country. Russian forces claim they captured another village in the Kharkiv region, stating that its forces liberated the settlements of Kopanki. Meanwhile, military experts are worried that Russian troops will take full control of Kurakhove in the Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine.
There is information showing that it is probably only a matter of time before the Russian forces completely take control of Kurakhove, as they have already entered the center of Kurakhove. Once the Russian army takes full control of Kurakhove, it will once again hit the morale of the Ukrainian army and accelerate its defeat in the direction of eastern Ukraine. The ongoing ground conflicts in the direction of both Kursk and eastern Ukraine are extremely unfavorable to Ukraine.
And for more on this, we have with us Peter Guznik, Professor of History and Director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University from Washington, D.C. Thanks very much for being here on the broadcast. Let me begin by asking you, for your assessment of what's going on at this moment, what do you think is the message that Russia is trying to send out?
Russia has said that it's time to negotiate and end this fighting. The incoming National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, has also said it's time to sit down and negotiate. So both sides are trying to establish and strengthen their positions before those talks begin. But it's not looking good for Ukraine. That overnight drone strikes were a record number, and they hit many critical infrastructure targets. On top of that, Russia is expanding in the east at the fastest rate since the beginning of the war. So on the battlefield, things are not looking good. And remember back that Kursk had invaded, that the Ukrainians had invaded the Kursk region in Russia. The Russians have taken back more than 40% of that territory already and are poised to take back the rest. So the sooner the fighting ends, the better for Russia, better for Ukraine, better for the rest of the world.
Sure, but what, according to you, is the likelihood of that really happening, and how fast do you see things evolving in the run-up to Donald Trump taking office in January? Because he, of course, has said that he can end the war in 24 hours.
Trump is very, very unpredictable. I never try to guess along with what Trump's going to do, but he has said repeatedly that he wants to end the war in Ukraine and do it as quickly as possible. Trump could stop the U.S. weapons flows to Ukraine, without which Ukraine will be helpless. So Trump can end it. He can end it quickly, but Putin is trying to end it on the battlefield even before that. Trump won't be in office for another couple months, so a lot can happen. And with this escalation, the world is very, very frightened by the prospect of escalation and of nuclear war. So these new missiles that Russia has launched against Ukraine, these Oreshnik missiles, are totally new and unprecedented. They're intermediate range ballistic missiles, but they're also hypersonic. and there is no missile defense that can stop them. So the Russians used it once in retaliation for the first ATACMS strikes. Since then, Ukraine has struck twice more with these ATACMS missiles that the United States gave them. And so the Russians say they're going to respond in a demonstrative way. And I anticipate that might be more of these Oreshnik missile attacks. But the Russians have already been destroying so much of the infrastructure. The winter is already setting in Ukraine. It's going to be a terrible winter for the Ukrainians without a lot of heat, without a lot of electricity. It's just going to be a disaster inside of Ukraine.
Peter Kusnik, leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for joining here. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.